Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today we're going to talk on how to make your own meal ready to eat, MRE. So before we start, if you're interested in detective stories, this is the first part of an 11-part detective series. If you're interested, it's called Bloody Crosses. The link will be in the description. So, MREs. Yeah, I talked about MREs and why it's not the best idea to buy a lot of them, and they are only good in certain situations. But hey, that no, my main problem was that they are expensive, and the second problem was because I've been tasting this American Army MRI, and it was, to be honest, the half of the continents were decent. They were tasty, but the other half was just bland, and it's just a total ripoff. For the price of 18 euros, it was just one meal, one menu, and yeah, it's all cheap stuff. So I think they get imagine. So it was a resale. So yeah, imagine for the new price of a new MRE, how much money is being wasted by these defense contractors that buy cheap stuff, and the army will pay any amount of it because yeah, it's in a good packaging. That's just the gist of it. So I was thinking, if something, what do humans do if something is too expensive? You make it yourself. So if you can make your own MRE, uh, yeah, that could save a lot of money, and it could be handy for your prepping survival. And yeah, one would say, why would you need to make an MR make your own MRE? Well, because sometimes these are too bulky. There is too much trash of it. They sometimes they contain stuff that you don't like or you cannot eat because of your faith, your beliefs, or cultural, or if you are vegetarian, or every of these contains a heater for water, which is not always necessary in my opinion. So yeah, instead of an MRE like this French army MRE, I would suggest try to make your own. So this is an example of an MRE that I made myself. As you can see, it's a very compact, very small, and the thing is, with this I can eat at least 2 days of it. Yep. So yeah, that's 2 days, and the price for the same amount of calories, and yeah, the packaging and such is way cheaper than some of these MREs from the army, and those are resales by the way. So they should be cheaper normally. So yeah, this is an example of an MRE that I made myself. It is my first try, and something went wrong with it, and I will talk you. I will say in a minute what exactly. So the first thing you need if you're going to make your MRE is, what do you put in your MRE? Well, I would say you should put things in it. You should make it in a way that it will apply to certain conditions. I would say, if you live in a warm area, make sure that the contents of your MRE cannot spoil by heat. So that's the first thing. Second thing is protection against wear. So if you put your MRE in your bug out bag or in your car or whatever, the packaging cannot just tear with just the smallest corner of a or a little bit surface scruffing. So that's also something you need to take into account. And the third thing is calories and nutritions. So yeah, you just can take a bag of rice, but yeah, that contains the calories, but not all of the nutritions. You can claim that you can get some nutrition value by doing some foraging, by taking plants and herbs from out of nature around you, but that's not always possible in any bug out scenario. So what I suggest is, take something that contains calories. Yeah, I will show you by showing the choices that I made. So if you can see, this is being packaged in my vacuum. How do you say this? I have a machine that vacuums the air out of it and seals the lid. So if you perhaps can see, it will make everything very compact, airtight. All the air is out, so everything that is inside it is absence of oxygen. So there is less chance that it will go off. So yeah, if you got something like that, you can package your own MREs. But this is something that happened with this. There are a lot of sharp edges with some of the packaging. Like you see, there are some cans on it, and there were some cubes, like with the boil cubes, that have a little bit of a sharp edge. And that problem was during the vacuuming, or by just a small hint of touching, it teared a little bit, and there was a tiny hole in it, and air could get inside of it. So that's something that happened with this MRE. So like as you can see, but that's not really a problem if you put stuff in it that is already been packaged like with the cans and with the bags and the rice. Yeah, that's no problem. It's sealed in another bag. So yeah, those are things that you need to watch out for when you're doing this. Try to set it up in a way that there are no sharp corners or pieces of metal or inside of it that can pierce through the bag when you put it inside of your bug bag. So for nutritional value, I would say what I put inside of this is first of all a tiny bag of rice. With this bag of small amount of rice, you can at least eat 2 days from it in calories, in my opinion. So that's as you can see, there's this big, and this square. So what else is in it? As you perhaps can see, if the light is not spoiling it. There are 2 cans with fish in oil in it, so that's at least 500 calories, and it's full of proteins and oil and fats and oil that can give some calories, and also like I said, the proteins to continue on something with a heavy physique work, like going on a bagout by foot. The next thing is some sausages in a can. Also, this is a little bit with oil, just for the reason that I told before, because that could you. So first of all, you can boil it in it, and many people will say, why would you put a can with sausages in it? There is a loss of space by the oil. But to be honest, it has, by using at least one can, you have another purpose, which I will talk about within a minute. The second can is some how do you say this? Rice dairy. It's like a porridge of rice and milk. So yeah, it's like a tiny dessert, and those are two some big calories. But yeah, the real deal is in this little package. So what is in this? Some matches. So if you want to cook one of the cans, the contents of the cans, you can make a small fire, put it on it, boil it, and that way you can have more food with it. Tea, some chocolate milk powder, some sugar, and some powdered coffee, some 2 packages of tea, and some water purification tablets. So that way you do not have to carry a lot of water, and you can use the cans as a container to put your water in it, put the tablets in it, and you can let it try to, how do you say this, purify, so you have enough water. So yeah, that's those are the components inside this one. There's one bouillon cube in it. I've forgotten to say, and there is a little energy bar in it for some quick energy if you do not have the time during a bug out to rest and stop because of perhaps some danger in the area, or you don't have any wood to cook, or it's too dangerous, like I said before. Yeah, some peppermints are also in it, just for some quick energy and something for boosting their morale, to be honest. And some packages of salt, because if you're going on a bug out, you will sweat a lot, and you will need to restore those electrolytes inside of your body by taking in some salt. But usually you get the salt from your other meals, but I put some extra in it because during a bug out you can sweat a lot, and even that the salt from the cans will not be enough in that place. So yeah, those are the things that are inside of my MRE. So I talked about the importance of cans. Like if you like with a can, you would say, yeah, the weight of the can that's not really good, but you can open it, take the can, put it on the fire, and heat up the inside of the can. But you can also that way preserve some of the liquids better that is inside it. This contains more nutrition, so you can. Not many people like to do it, but in a survival situation, you can drink whatever of water is inside of it, so you have a little bit water in it and then more nutrients. And another thing is, if you do not have a spoon, because like many people would think there is no cutlery in this, no spoon, with this you can improvise something that you can scoop up some soups, some mashed things like this, or some piece, even cut some pieces with this. So that is the lid of this piece, and as you can see, I bended it with my multi-tool inside of this shape. So that way, if you have a can, I can put my finger in it and I can scoop it and eat it like that. Be aware that there could be some sharp edges around this. So do not just rip it out of your mouth when you put it in, but you can try to scoop out, especially on the sides, because it's very, how do you say, it, square, and you can get everything outside of it. And it's also a little bit protective against heat, because only my finger is on this small piece of metal that will not conduct that much heat by the shape of the can, because there is still some metal in the middle part that will be not guiding the heat inside of this. So that's just a little hack to make your own spoon. And it's even, if you leave it sharp enough here, you can even cut some bigger pieces like the meat or the fish with this. So yeah, that's something that you can do with this. uh, and if you have something like this fish oil, how do you say this, the oil with the fish cans, that oil you can use to make fires, to make a improvised lamp or a candle during your bug out. So that's not really a lost of some lost. And you can reuse perhaps the oil if you caught some game, if you caught a rabbit or a small rodent. That way, if you're going to cook it above a fire, you can use the oil to sprinkle it, to drip it over whatever you caught, and you're trying to cook the meat. So that's also a good use of the oil inside of these cans, and why you should put it inside of your MRE. And the next thing is, there is no loss if you make your own MREs out of this stuff, because a lot of MREs that I know of will only last for what is this 2024. So yeah, that's only from now on less than 1 year and a half. So I like to take, like you perhaps noticed, items that will last for a long time. Rice will last for 30 years if it's vacuum packed. This fish can be stored for it's 2006, so 4 years you can store the fish in it. Um, these the sausages is to 2025, so 3 years, and this is 2023. So yeah, that's only a year, but usually it's because there is dairy in it, and yeah, it's not really a big loss in my opinion. And especially the dried powders and the tea and such, you can store these for years. So even if you make your MREs for your bug out, you can still keep these in your pantry with your food. So it's not a big loss. If you need them, you just take it out of your pantry, open it, take out whatever you want, and it's not such a big loss. And there's another benefit about doing it with translucent plastic, because usually an MRE is put inside of a box or made with dark colored big plastic against tearing and against the sun. But here in Belgium there is not a lot of sun during the years, only during the summer. And yeah, that can is not enough to spoil the food when the rays get into the sun. If you live in a desert area or somewhere there is a lot of sun, like close to the equator, I would suggest to use plastic that is dark, and you can it cannot be contaminated by the sun if something is inside of it or heat up too much. That's another benefit of this. As you can see, perhaps can see, I can see through the plastic what the expiration date is. So that's with the most food, even with the small cans of fish. If you can see, I can see if their expiration date. So I know, from just doing a routine check every year in my pantry, I can look at the MRE and say, oh, this is almost expired. That way, I do not need, I can take it out, and it will not be a big loss. If you have dark plastic, I would suggest to write with paint or something else the dates on it and the content, because that's another bad thing. You cannot see what's inside of your MRE if it's dark plastic. So make sure you put some a note or a sticker, or write with something on it to whatever is inside of it. So yeah, and I would say an MRI does not have to be expensive. This thing in total is just from things that I use every day, that I have perhaps have leftovers or just gathered around. So this is not just a big loss. So it could be like less than eight euros, which is a lot of cheaper than these military MRIs that have a lot of waste, cost too much for what's inside of it, and have not that much nutrients. It's just more about variety, and it is all the variety you need if you're desperate enough, in a desperate enough situation to use MREs. So yeah, it is just something handy to take on a long bug out or a camping or a hiking trip. And yeah, I would say you can, like I said, an MRE does not have to be expensive. You know, if you're going to a restaurant, there is always some package of salt, like of these tiny package of salt. Take them, keep them, and you can keep them for building an MRE. Same thing for the little coffee powder and milk packages that you can always get into inside of a, how do you say this, in a bar or in a restaurant. So you do not have to waste this, and these will last for a long time. Same thing goes for some paper towels, perhaps some peppermints that you get, or if you can buy these in bulk. Those are all things you can do, and if you and in each one you can put some of purification tablets. And if you really need them in your bug-in situation, you can just always take them out. So I would say, if you can make it if you can make it yourself, you can usually make it better, because don't forget, MREs are usually made by companies, and like I noticed with the MRE for the US Army Menu 17, it's not worth it. It's not worth its price, and you can see that the company is just saving up some money for the profit by cheaping out on certain types of stuff. So if you make it yourself, it's more nutrient, it's cheaper, it's more varied, and you can put in whatever you like. So yeah, that's another thing. In this thing, there is everything inside of it. That's something that I eat on a regular basis, and I really like. Inside of this, there are at least 5 pieces of item that I can eat, but it's not really my favorite, and that's not really good for morale. So yeah, and don't forget the little hack with the lid of a can that you can turn into a little spoon for eating out of a can. So I think I'm round. So don't forget the description in the description about my book that you can buy if you're interested. Subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Share this video with other preppers and see what they think about it. Spread this idea, because yeah, you can save money that you can use for other things in your survival. Leave a comment if you have any other ideas about making your own MREs. I made these just with what I got. So this is just actually an improvised MRE in my situation. But if you have got any better ideas or tips or tricks, or something that you can use as a multifunctional tools or foods inside of this MRE, let it know in the comments. I'm always eager and interested into learning new stuff. So yeah, I'm around. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Cheers.